In regards to my own book series that I'm currently working on called The Fall of John Roe, a couple times I've made references to this sort of ideal political system, right? That gets discussed. That at one point the character Edmund, who is a child prodigy living in Iceland in the 12th century, lives under, which is this monarchic republic, otherwise known as the constitutional monarchy. That sort of in a war, this huge conflict with these group of traitors who are growing bigger and bigger within the country, who are sort of supporting John Roe, the evil nobleman's perversions, and whether they be sexual, whether they be violent, or warmongering, whatever they are. And John Roe's evil legacy gets carried on until year 2400 in this futuristic sci-fi world of the United States that gets taken over by corrupt intellectuals who follow in John Roe's footsteps. And so the monarchic republic, or the constitutional monarchy, is important because one thing that occurred to me, and I can't believe it didn't occur to me till today, that it seems as if, like the character Mushkin in the book The Idiot, right, in his sort of, as you know, that this kind of spiritual and idealistic kind of personality, I think that another antidote also to the Aristotelian kind of philosophy is indeed the monarchic republic. That the Aristotelian world, as I explained, which is very rampant in the philosophy of crime and punishment, that the ends justify the means, and the benefiting the greater number of people, that is itself like the antithesis of like the real utopia of what a monarchic republic is, which is also the opposite of a democracy. The democracy being that a kind of system that inevitably creates a form of oppression by having majority rule, and eventually leading to total dominance and total, as you can see, total destructiveness. There's been many books that have talked about this. So the monarchic republic kind of combines a mutual, very communicative understanding between people. I mean, that's the monarchic aspect. It's very disciplined, it's very methodical, but it also is not autocratic. It allows society to have, like a republic, to have a voting system, to have people be able to have an influence on their society, on their community. And the Aristotelian philosophy, on the other hand, is the idea, as I've explained, that some people are naturally born to be slaves, while other people are meant to rule. And not only can you see that in Crime and Punishment, and in Raskolnikov's sort of philosophy, the main character's philosophy, who he uses to justify killing an old lady, basically, but I'll get into that in another video. But you can also see this kind of underlying philosophy in movies like A Clockwork Orange. I also want to read the book version at some point, because, and there's even a video I watched about how The Clockwork Orange is a warning about democracy, about all the logical flaws in it, including majority rule, and the ways that actually sabotages the community, and society becomes very diluted and very corrupted. And I remember when I watched that movie, it's very much like, it's a little bit like the feeling you get when you read Through the Looking Glass, but it's like that turned on its head. It's like a much darker version of that feeling of being lost in a world that makes no sense, and where you're surrounded by people who are very solipsistic, like they are through the Looking Glass, where there's something that is kind of so bizarre and lacking in self-consciousness, lacking in the ability to reason. And you even see this in Alex DeLarge and his gang. In Clockwork Orange, the criminals, Alex DeLarge is the main criminal, the gang leader who ends up having to be brutally rehabilitated in prison. But he is still part of this very solipsistic world. And that sense of being lost in a world that doesn't make sense, just like these other phobias, like I think it's called thalassophobia, like the fear of the ocean, like the fear of the unknown and everything. It plays on those similar kind of very primal feelings as those sorts of fears in a very similar way. Because as I said, it's all about not only about uncertainty, but being either surrounded by arrogance or ineptitude.